morning. Welcome to Evangeline Mornings on UGN's Louisiana Television. I'm Nancy Kay. Joining us this morning, Coach Tracy Jagneaux. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Nancy, for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about yourself for those who don't know you.
There's not a whole lot to tell. I mean,
well, how long you been coaching?
Coaching 27 years. I've been in the teaching profession for 33, but I took 6 years off of coaching to do some other things. But I was born in Opelousas. Most of my childhood I grew up in the Karen Crow area. I came to Ville Platte in 9th grade, my freshman year. I have a family here, my grandmother and my grandfather and my mom's side of the family, all from Ville Platte. My grandfather actually owned a little bait stand on the way out to Chico, the only place there was.
I went there a lot because we used to go fishing at Chico and we'd stop there. Okay.
Henry's grocery store.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And I didn't know that was your grandfather.
Yeah.
Okay.
My grandmother was a Dardo, so related to the Dardos, Bobby Dardo. And
right.
So yeah, so most of my younger years was spent in Karen Crow. In high school, I came to Ville Platte High School my freshman year, and I graduated from Ville Platte High in '85. And then I went to McNeese and graduated from McNeese in '89.
Okay.
I'm married. I've been married for 35 years. I have 3 kids. My oldest daughter lives in Florida. My middle daughter lives in Lafayette, and I have a son that's a junior.
Very good. And so now you went to McNeese. What did you go to McNeese for?
I actually went for teaching. Whenever I first started, I wanted to coach. That's what I wanted to do, and you have to have a teaching degree, and so when I went to McNeese, that was my education, and so I got my education degree. I have a minor in science, so I can teach science, physical science.
I think all coaches teach physical science because I know mine did. There's just something about physical science and civics.
It's the reason, civic, a lot of social studies. But the reason I chose science is because not a lot of people were into it at the time. And number 2, you have a lot of science in physical education. You have to take biology. You have to take
kinesiology, and
you have to take. So I just wound up finishing up with
a
minor in science. Yeah.
That makes sense. So when you were at Ville Platte High, what did you played sports? I take it.
Yes, I did. I played sports. I played football and baseball. I did play basketball for 1 year. I wrote for this school newspaper.
Oh, cute! I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did. So I did a lot of other activities.
Oh, good. Yeah, because I didn't know you worked for the school newspaper, so that makes sense because you were the sports editor for the Gazette for a while.
Right. Yes.
How long were you the sports editor?
6 years. I went into coaching. I coached at Ville Platte High. Started my career at Ville Platte High. Actually, my first year, I left there. Went to Basile for a few years. Coached with my coach in high school, Coach Glenn LaFleur. That's why I went to Basile, because he was over there, so I coached with him. Came back to Ville Platte, went to Mamou for a year, went to Sacred Heart for 6 years, came back to Ville Platte High. So I've been all over the parish.
Well, was that your goal to just come back home and coach in your community?
Actually, the only reason why I came back home, right before we graduated, my wife actually had a job in Lake Charles teaching at an elementary school. If we'd have stayed, but the reason why I came back is because the chemistry teacher, Coach Gary Fontenot, was leaving Ville Platte High School, and he left like in April, late April, and Mr. Joe Tumanero, who was the principal at the time at Ville Platte High, said, "Look, if you come take the month of May as a sub, I'll hire you the next year to be at Ville Platte High." So that's why I wound up at Ville Platte High, because
you had the opportunity.
And he told me he was going to hire me. So
that's good. Yeah. Now, whenever you were in high school, what was your favorite sport to play? Was it football, probably, or you like them all, really?
Yeah, I like both. I mean, I like both. Baseball. I grew up playing baseball since I was 6 years old, so I like baseball too.
What was the best y'all ever did when you were there?
When I was in high school, in football, we actually went to the quarterfinals and wound up playing John Curtis my junior year. Oh, wow. Lost to them. Of course, everybody loses to John Curtis in football, but Yeah, we wound up going to the quarterfinals my junior year. Baseball, we didn't make it to the playoffs, but we had some pretty good baseball teams.
Who was your coach?
My football coach was Coach Glenn LaFleur. My baseball coach was actually Coach Elton Williams.
Okay.
And who I wound up coaching with at Ville Platte High School. He was the head coach when I first got there.
I was going to ask, did you get to,
Yes.
work alongside them?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to coach with some great guys. I mean, Coach Elton Williams, Coach Glenn LaFleur, Coach Keith Menard, who's now at Assumption High School.
I remember Coach Keith. He was at Sacred Heart for a little while.
Coach Roy Sarah and I coached together.
We had him on the show recently, and he spoke very highly of you.
And I even got to coach with one of the coaching legends of high school football, Coach Dutton Wall. Got to coach with him, and that was a tremendous joy. Not just because I was able to coach with him, but because he was just a great guy and just fun to be around.
And Coach Anderson too, Lionel Anderson?
Coach Anderson was assistant coach whenever I was at Ville Platte High School.
But he taught you? Did he teach you?
No,
or
he
no,
did not- he did
but
not
you
teach
wound up working with him?
Yes.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah. Okay. And so going back to college, did you play sports in college while you were there?
No, I didn't. Actually, my job on campus was to be a manager for the track team. So I got to.
You were still in sports.
Yeah, I was still in sport. I loved it too because we were able to. I was able to travel with the track team. I was able to go to Texas A&M to the relays. I was able to go to different places. I drove the vans that brought the kids there, and I was part of the. And they treated me like I was one of their own. They would give me shoes and sweats and stuff like that. I got a watch whenever I graduated because I spent 4 years as a manager.
That's really good.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's good. And so right now you're coaching at Sacred Heart?
Yes. I got out of coaching about 6 years ago. And as you know, we worked together at Gazette. I went to the Gazette.
Yeah, you're my little buddy on the side. Our desks were right next to each other. I didn't get much work done because we were just kind of joking around.
Yeah, we joke around and talk about all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
It was fun. I enjoyed myself at the Gazette. What happened was I was getting out of coaching. Emotionally and just it takes a toll on you when you've been doing it for 20 plus years, So I said, look, I need to take a break. And Mr. David Artigo found out that I was leaving. I wasn't going to coach anymore, and he called me up. And it's funny because I actually did some articles for the Gazette while I was in high school. I did some American Legion articles because I played American Legion baseball. And so he knew me, and so he said, "Why don't you come be the sports editor?" And I said, "Sure." So I took over that, and then I also. KVPI at the time, Mr. Randy Guillory was leaving. He wasn't going to do the sports anymore.
Yeah, and Randy is, I'm going to, never mind, I could joke about Randy all day long because I worked with him and he was a trip. I loved working with Randy, but yeah, I was sad to see him go, but I was glad that you came in too.
Yeah, and he, so he was leaving, and so I called Mr. Mark up and I said, "Mark, listen, you need somebody." And I don't think he understood, he didn't understand my knowledge of because he knew me, but he didn't really know me.
Right.
But then I took over and I started doing the Friday night footballs and then basketball and all the sports for him on the KVPI. So and then so this past actually probably around January, I thought maybe it was time to get back into coaching. I was kind of looking around, and I knew Coach Harper from the paper and from the sports, and that type of thing. And I spoke to him and I said, "Coach Harper, he needed some help over there at Sacred Heart." So I said, "Would you like for me to help you out? I'd really like to get back into coaching." And he was all on board for it because he knew I had a 20 plus year background.
Right.
I had been a head coach before. I was a head coach at Ville Platte High for a couple of years. I had been an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. I knew pretty much, the game itself. And so I went over there this past year and was the offensive line and defensive line coach, and we had a great season this year. So.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, what since you've been coaching any sport, what was your most winning season? What's the best you guys ever did?
Probably in baseball. We went to the state semifinals. I think back in 2004. And I had a group of kids that there was really no one standout person, you know what I'm saying? Well, we had a couple of kids that went on to play college, but it was a team effort, and we wound up going to the state semifinals and losing to Episcopal High, Baton Rouge, in the state semifinals.
Baseball?
Baseball.
Fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one do you prefer to coach more? Or you just like it all?
I like it all. I mean,
Just like
I
you like
haven't
playing
coached
it.
baseball in a long time. Football is one of those games. To me, football is the ultimate game to coach because you have 11 guys that you have to see about at all times.
Right.
And it's like moving chess pieces, you know. There's not another sport like it to where you have 11 guys. Well, soccer, I guess, but soccer, you know, at one point in time, you may only have 4 or 5 guys playing action, you know, where football, if one guy breaks down, if one thing breaks down, then it's not good, you know. So
Okay, very good.
I love football.
Yeah, and have you ever coached the girls' teams?
Yes, I did. I coached girls basketball, and well, first of all, I coached softball at Villepot High my first year, and then I came back, and my daughter was at Villepot High, and she played softball, so I coached her for 2 years with her. But I also coached girls basketball and Basile, and I coached the track, which, you know, both the boys and the girls.
Who's easier to coach, boys or girls?
Who
Who gives you the most problems?
No, well, let's just say this: if you have a girls team, and I'm not saying this to be sexist or anything.
No, that's fine.
If you have a girls team and you don't have a cohesive unit, and if they fighting amongst each other, it is really bad. Boys
Girls
teams,
will tear each other up with their words.
yes.
Boys will just fight it out and get it over with. Girls will just
Now, I will
cut each
tell you
other
this:
down.
if a girls team is cohesive and they want to play, I tell you what, there's nothing more. They'll go through a brick wall for you. You know what I'm saying? They're going to fight for you. So it's different. It just depends on the situation. You know?
Good. Well, look, we're going to take a break, but we'll come back. We'll talk more about coaching and some other things that you're doing right now, okay? All right, we'll be right back with Coach Tracy Jagneaux. You're watching Evangeline Mornings on UGN's Louisiana Television.
Be strong and courageous. That's the message Jesus has for you if you're injured or ill. Keep your eyes on Christ and let us at Fontenot Physical Therapy and Fontenot Physical Therapy West help you run the race. Fear is useless. Just trust in Jesus and let us help you have hope in your future. Have a happy new year and God bless you.
At 1319 South Chautauqua Road is Paul's Specialty Meat Market and Grocery, where fresh meat and good service equal a great experience. Specializing in smoked meats, specialty meats such as stuffed roast, holiday turduckens, boudin, crackling, fryers stuffed with crawfish and cornbread, and large freezer specials, providing fresh smoked meats to the community for 27 years. That's Paul's Specialty Meats and Grocery, 1319 South Chautauqua Road, Ville Platte, Louisiana, where fresh meat and good service equal a great experience.
Welcome back to Evangeline Mornings on UGN's Louisiana Television. I'm Nancy Kay. We've been talking with Coach Tracy Jagneaux and telling us all about your long history at coaching. And I wanted to ask you, since you've been involved in sports your whole life, what do you think sports, the effect it has on the community?
Oh, it has a huge impact. I mean, sports drives communities. I mean, it builds. I mean, when a sports team is doing well, the community responds together. I mean, and you can tell that even, you know, back when I played football in high school, there was Villepot High and Sacred Heart were kind of apart from each other. You know what I'm saying? They kind of it was a rivalry and that type of thing. Yeah. But over the last few years with the T Cotton Bowl and that type of thing, the community, when one team does well, the whole community responds.
Yeah, I agree. And have you ever had maybe any troubled kids who were kind of going down the wrong path and then they started playing sports and turned their lives around?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot of kids. I've had a lot of kids that their home life is not the greatest in the world, but sports kind of gives them that avenue, you know what I'm saying, to be able to express themselves and to have a sense of purpose. And
probably get some discipline too.
And, there's no doubt. Listen, when people ask me what my greatest accomplishment in coaching is, and to me it's just seeing kids grow up to be good people, good adults, good citizens, good. And it's so fun to watch all the kids that I coach now have families, you know, and it's great, man. I love seeing that type of thing, and just hoping that I was a part of that. Them growing up.
Of course you were. And actually, that was going to be my next question: was what do you love the most about coaching? What's your proudest about coaching? And that you perfectly answered it.
That's it.
Well, what's your most challenging part about being a coach?
Just having to deal with different personalities. You know, you have to, because you know, you want to treat all the kids the same, but there's situations that come up that you have to kind of, you have to know how to handle that particular situation with that personality.
Exactly. Now, who's your favorite pro athlete of all time? Or let's start with your favorite team. Any sport.
Well,
you just like
when I was growing up, it was baseball wise, it was the Cincinnati Reds, probably football, the Saints, obviously. Yeah. But I also like the Miami Dolphins. Cincinnati Reds. I used to in the backyard. I knew how each person stood at the plate and swung a bat. I just knew the game.
Yeah.
I don't really have a particular favorite person. I just like.
You just love the sport in general.
I always pulled for people from Louisiana that were playing.
Of course,
you know, whether it was for the Pistons or whoever, Joe Dumars, who went to McNeese. I love the Pistons because of him. You know, I love the 76ers because of Andrew Toney, who played at UL. You know, just that's how I am.
I wasn't a sports person growing up. My brother and cousin were, and they're the same age. They're 4 years older. So just to try to fit in, I would try to watch, you know, football with them or anything else, and they were talking about their favorite teams, and I just blurted out, I like the Detroit Lions. Like, why? Well, they have pretty helmets. They love their helmets. So they're like, little sisters. Oh. So now I wanted to get to, you have another job besides coaching. So you have a job for the school board. Yes. Tell us about that, because I'm really interested in that.
So the past 6 years, I've been fortunate enough to have a job where it's called I'm a transitional instructor. And so what that means is I help transition kids out of high school to the real world. And part of that job is we have a program called work-based learning. And what we do is we take kids with learning disabilities, we call them Leap Connect kids, and we get them jobs during school hours, and I take them to job sites. And what it's designed to do is to give them skills for whenever they do graduate high school. And these kids, they earn a actual credit toward high school diploma. And through Louisiana Rehabilitative Services, there's a grant, and that grant money gets siphoned to the school board, and the school board actually gives them a check. They get paid $8 an hour for their work.
That's really something. I'm glad they have that. And like we were talking earlier before the show, it's so great that they have these kinds of programs, because not every child learns the same way.
That's correct.
And it prepares them for a career where maybe they're not every child's suited to go to college. And in many ways, you're going to have more of a earning career in some technical jobs than you will with a college degree. I'm proof of that. But yeah, it's good for some people, and others it's good to teach, you know, what their strengths are.
Well, and it gives them a real sense of what the real world is like.
Yes.
Because they have to come to school, number one. So it's like being on time for a job. Right. They have to perform at their job, because not only do I pick them up from school, drop them off at their job, but also go around and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to. And it also shows them responsibility. And it also financially, it shows them how to manage their money. You know, once they get that check in their hands,
gives them those real world skills, and
they need to learn that before they get out of school.
I think that's great. So what types of disabilities do they have? Just learning disabilities?
Yeah,
they're on the autism spectrum. And,
just different. Some of them, you know, they may be deficient in math or reading, or you know. Right. But when you deal with these kids, when you talk to these kids, you know, a lot of them, you know, they know what they need to do to be successful.
Right. That's why I said I'm glad that they have those kinds of programs. How long have you been doing that?
This is about 6 years. Okay. I was in the classroom. In fact, at one time I was teaching physical science all day long. I was the athletic director at Villepinte High. I was the head softball coach, the head football coach, and it just got.
When did you sleep?
I didn't. Actually, I didn't. And Miss Roxanne West, who was a supervisor of special education at the time that the program came about, she talked to Miss Kelly Miss Kelly LaFleur, excuse me, that was at Villepinte, the principal at Villepinte High, who was my principal. And she said, do you know someone that could go out in the community and find these jobs and also has a CDL? And she said, yeah, I got somebody in mind. And so she recruited me, and since then, Miss Kelly has taken over the program, and she pretty much, myself and Coach Dot Dulé and Miss Lisa, we kind of handle the program, and she kind of lets us, do what we need to do, because we're all veterans.
Right.
Coach Dot is fixing to retire. Miss Lisa's been around for a long time as a paraprofessional. So we just handle it ourselves, and we take care of what we need to.
That's good. And yeah, I always knew whenever you arrived at the Gazette, because I would hear the bus outside. You would hear the screech,
Sometimes sometimes after school I would have to stop and do my work on the way.
Yeah, we'd say, oh, Tracy's here. Could hear that bus, come. So you worked at the Gazette as a sports editor. Your announcer at KVPI. Which one did you like better? I'm just joking though, but it's apples and oranges, really. I mean,
actually, it was a lot. Working at the Gazette was a lot. I mean, it took a lot out of me, because, and I kind of had to get away from that, because, like on, just say, football season on Friday nights, I was probably there till 3 o'clock in the morning putting stuff in and editing, because I was the editor too. And then on basketball season, it was Tuesdays and Fridays. You know? So, but I want to thank one person too, Raymond Parsh, who is at the sports station in Lafayette. He really helped me become a better editor. I think I had the sports writing skills already, but he kind of led me in that direction.
Right, he used to be sports editor as well. So that was good that he got to show you the ropes, and you certainly did a wonderful job as sports editor.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and we miss you, but I like hearing you on the KVPI too. So at least I get to hear your voice. If you could go back and change anything about your career, would you? Is there anything that you would change?
No, not really. I mean, you always think about that. I was probably, the only thing that probably is, one time I had thought about joining the military, but no, actually, I've had a fulfilling career.
Yeah, I could tell. And I could tell that, like, you were just born to do this, like you knew what you wanted, and you got it. Is there anything else you'd like to mention about sports, or anything else you want to talk about?
No, just, my career has been fulfilling, and I want to thank everyone that's given me the opportunity to do what I do. Like I said, I had a lot of people that I worked with that just was unbelievable.
Like me?
Like
no,
you. That's correct. That is correct.
Just messing.
That's correct.
But well, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it, and not just for telling us about yourself, but it was good seeing my friend again.
Oh,
I don't see you enough anymore. But thank you so much for being here, Coach Tracy Jagneaux. Hope you'll come back and join us again. Maybe if you want to have a sports show or something, we might we might have to talk about that. Then we can work again. Tracy Jagneaux, you have been watching Evangeline Mornings on UGN's Louisiana Television.
Hi, this is Coach Tracy Jagneaux. Tune in weekdays for Evangeline Mornings on UGN's television network.
Hi, my name is Ian Fontenot, and I'm with Cajun Broadband, and I get internet way out here. Oh, I got a tweet. So what's good about Cajun Broadband, you got a local company, you got local customer support, you got small businesses, couldn't even have a peace of mind knowing that their security cameras work in the evening, because the service just wasn't up to par. And we come in and we're an option, and we're a local option.
Good morning. Welcome to Evangeline Mornings on UGN's Louisiana Television. What you're looking at right now is some delicious sauce and seasoning from Jack Miller's barbecue sauce. And joining us today is Kirt Miller, son of Jack Miller. Thank you so much for being here. And well, I'm Nancy Kay, by the way. So we want to talk to you today about the history of Jack Miller's. Now, the corporation, though, is American Inn Incorporated, and that goes into the history of Jack Miller's food products. So you want to start with that?
Yes, my father was Jack Miller, and he and my mother Joyce started the American Inn restaurant in 1941 here in Ville Platte. It was on Main Street. And they operated the restaurant until 1962. But from the restaurant came the Jack Miller's barbecue sauce. And people liked it, and they asked, where can we buy this? Well, he started bottling it and would sell it only out of the restaurant on a shelf because it was a product from the restaurant, so that was allowed by the license. And then in 1955, he got a license from the state to manufacture the product and sell it on the wholesale level. And from there, he went into the grocery stores. And his history from that point on. So we've been in business, our company, American Inn Incorporated, has been in business since 1941. It's 81 years.
Wow.
Right. We celebrated that in June of this past year.
Did your father ever think it would go this far as this, just a barbecue sauce that he created? Did he ever think they would go this far?
I don't know. Knowing him, he probably did. He might have thought it would even go farther.
Yeah.
But his original idea was to open up several small hamburger joints. And this is 1941. This is before McDonald's and all the big chains came in. And it always just blew my mind that he thought about doing something like that at that time.
He had the vision.
Yes, he did. And they were going to put little restaurants in the towns in the area, and it was just going to be hamburgers and that kind of thing. But because of the breakout of World War II, you couldn't get the ground beef or a lot of other things. Everything was rationed. So what he did, he kind of, he said, well, we're in a farming community. He grew up in Sunset on a farm. That's where he was from originally. And he started buying chickens from the farmers and from the people in the outlying areas, and even in town, people raised chickens.
Right. And
he would barbecue chickens, and he would sell that because he had a clientele on the weekends from Fort Polk and Camp Beauregard, during the war effort, everything was going on there. And on weekends, they'd pile in a car or a bus or whatever and come to Ville Platte to entertain at the Evangeline Club and the Rendezvous Club and Schnucks and Lord knows where else. And so on weekends it was a big influx of people, and they'd be out in the morning, early in the morning, waiting for the restaurant to open so they could get something to eat. So he said, well, we'll do barbecue chicken and go that way because he could get them. Then eventually he would buy from people like Mr. Percy Fontenot in Vidrine, and he had the chicken hatchery, and so from that point, he was able to get what he needed. But that's how the barbecue sauce came into the restaurant business. Was he made a combination of products that he had worked with over the years in other restaurants in the area, and came up with this formula, and he would use that on his barbecue plates and sandwiches and whatever else. And because people wanted some, he decided to put it for sale in the restaurant. But once it got on the wholesale level, things kind of changed. So what he did, he closed off a section of his restaurant building and turned it into a little factory. And we had, I think it was 4 big restaurant stoves back to back, gas burner stoves and 30, 40, 5, 6 gallon stainless steel pots, and that went on there. So each one was cooked individually, had to be stirred constantly.
I'm sure.
And when it was cooked, the cooked pot was put on the work table. And the ladies there, we had, I think there were 4 ladies working in that section, and they would hand dip had a dipper and a funnel, and you know, they would fill the bottles and screw the lid on, and then put a little glue around the label and stick that on the bottle. So it was a very long and slow process.
Right.
But then it just kept growing, and you know, it just got to the point where eventually he had to go into the machinery side. And I was in the Navy 1967, sitting off the coast of Vietnam, and I got a letter from Dad with a picture of, he had bought 2 kettles, 250-gallon kettles, steam kettles, and a boiler unit, and he showed me a picture of it. And he says, be sure and learn how to operate the boiler on that ship you own, because we have a boiler here now we need to take care of. Well, our boiler at the plant was the size of a big hot water tank. The size of the boiler on the ship I was on was the size of a room, or bigger, and I was on a small ship. Yeah. But anyway, when I got back, I tried to explain that to him. But the boiler provides the steam that heats the kettles, so we don't have any flame under our pots at all.
Okay.
And it's a constant stirring process, so that takes care of a lot of the, you know, not sticking to the kettle. And then from there, we were still doing the old bottling by hand procedure. But then over time, we got a little filling machine, which we're still using. And it fills 2 containers at a time. And then eventually, he got the capping machine to go with that. And then when I came back and got into the picture in 1970, January of 1970, after I got out the Navy and I went back to school for a while, but I said, time to go to work. Yeah. And that's what I was going to do anyway. Everything was pointing for that. And then I came back, and then we started doing things a little differently, and we bought a labeling machine to go with the rest of it. So now we do it, the 3 people can do all of the filling process by themselves.
Good, yeah.
Excuse me. But we produce, on average, 550 to 700 gallons a day.
I was going to ask that. That's that's a lot.
We usually cook 4 days a week. We cook and package.
Oh, I know. I live very near the plant, and on a good day, I could smell it cooking, and I get really hungry and wish I had some barbecue.
Yeah, we're right behind the hospital on Kirt Miller Road, and I've had people from the hospital, you know, people that I know, call me up and said, "You're killing this over here."
Me too.
We walk outside and we're smelling that barbecue sauce. It's amazing. You go in the middle of town and you smell Carrie's roux cooking.
I know.
I want to go home and make a gumbo or a stew or something.
I know.
So hopefully it'll make them go home and decide they want to do a barbecue.
Yeah, every time I smell it, if I'm out walking my dogs in the neighborhood or just at my house,
depends
on a
which way the wind
when
is
the wind's blowing, I say, God, man, I'm hungry now. I need to get some of that Jack Miller. But it's so good around here. We joke you could put it on some bread and just eat it like that, which we've done.
That's the easiest recipe we have. Slice of bread and a spoon of Jack Miller's on it.
It has some good stuff.
I've
it really
had
is.
people tell me that that's how they made it through college. They didn't have the money, you know, to buy a lot of food. They would save that for more important things like, you know, weekend to go out and drink beer. But they'd get a loaf of bread, and it was always, of course, they'd always tell us it was Evangeline made bread, and a bottle of
that's
Jack
the best
Miller's,
to have it is the Evangeline
made.
made.
They'd chip in on that, and then they'd make sandwiches.
Yeah. And you know, when I was very little, I don't know what grade I was in, but I went to school with your daughter, Monette.
Yeah.
And we were in elementary school, and our class took a field trip to the plant, to Jack Miller's plant, and your dad was there. And at the end of the little tour, he asked if anyone had any questions, and I always remember this. Our classmate, Louis, raised his hand. He said, yes. And he said, can I marry your granddaughter? And she looked so embarrassed, and Mr. Jack just laughed and said, no, not right now, no.
It didn't work out that way.
Yeah, but he was a very nice man. I do remember him from that one occasion at least.
I was fortunate enough to work with him for over 20 years, and then he retired, and then, of course, he was always in and out. He lived next door of the building, but it was nice to have him like that. And I'm fortunate enough, the last 15, 16 years, my son Christian has been with me, and I can see the same thing happening. We've been working. I'm still working, so we've been working together and trying to pass on all the information I can. Of course, he's teaching me a lot of things, but because of the internet and all the new things,
right.
He's very good with that, and so I work with him in the morning. until around noon. Of course, I start early. But when they get there, I've got at least 100 gallons of product to start packaging.
Oh, wow.
So it gives us a head start for the day. But we, when we're doing the 16-ounce, the pint bottles, the smallest ones, smaller ones, we'll do about, at least 2,100 bottles a day. That's cooked, packaged, labeled, and in the warehouse ready to go out. Sometimes it goes on the truck the same day, but we try to keep a good warehouse stock to work from.
Well, good. I'm going to ask you some more questions about that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Kirt Miller of Jack Miller's barbecue sauce, and of course American Inn Incorporated, which is the umbrella company. We'll be right back with Mr. Kirt Miller. You're watching Evangeline Mornings on UGN's Louisiana Television.
At 1319 South Chautauqua Road is Paul's Specialty Meat Market and Grocery, where fresh meat and good service equal a great experience. Specializing in smoked meats, specialty meats such as stuffed roast, holiday turduckens, boudin, crackling, fryers stuffed with crawfish and cornbread, and large freezer specials, providing fresh smoked meats to the community for 27 years. That's Paul's Specialty Meats and Grocery, 1319 South Chautauqua Road, Ville Platte, Louisiana, where fresh meat and good service equal a great experience. Before John DeVille and his staff can unlock the doors, there's a gathering outside of the Cajun Catfish Steakhouse and Buffet, 1452 Highway 167 North, Ville Platte, Louisiana. His staff would like to invite you in for a dining experience you won't forget. From fruits and salads made fresh every day to a spacious environment to stretch your legs out and loosen your belt loop. Enjoy Central Louisiana's best in seafood and steak. The Cajun Catfish Steakhouse and Buffet, 1452 Highway 167 North, Ville Platte, Louisiana.
What you're looking at right now are those wonderful Jack Miller's food products, and I'm sure your mouth is watering if you've ever had it. I know mine is. Welcome back to Evangeline Mornings. We're talking with Kirt Miller of Jack Miller's Food Products, and of course the American Inn Incorporated, named after your father's restaurant. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about these products because it started with barbecue sauce, and what else have you guys included?
Well, we did the barbecue sauce from 1955 until about 1989, and then we came out with our seasoning mix. My wife Sheila and I would mix that in the afternoon of a small batch, and we'd bring it home, and we would season some fish fillets and try that. And she kept cutting back on the salt. I said, well, there goes the profit every time we did that, until it got to where she says, I taste the seasoning and the flavor and not the salt.
Right.
So that's what we've been doing ever since.
Yeah.
And then we also came out with the Jack Miller's Cajun Dip. We called it Jack Miller's Cajun Cocktail Sauce for several years.
It is delicious.
And a few years ago, we changed the name to Cajun Dip. People didn't understand what the use was. It's a spicy ketchup mix. My dad would make that in his restaurant. In fact, I used to help him make it. That's how I got the recipe. And it was used for shrimp cocktails.
Yes, I've had it with that, and it is my favorite. Use. It is so good.
And we always liked it so much. My sister said, look, make a gallon of it and we'll split it up. I have 3 sisters, so we would split it up. Each one of us got a quart bottle. So for that reason, I retained the information. Yeah. But then in 1989 also, we decided to put that on the market. So we had 2 new products at the same time. The seasoning is an all-purpose seasoning. And you can use it on anything you want.
Yeah,
it's real good in a Bloody Mary also.
I haven't tried that. Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to try that. Okay.
And then the dipping sauce, or the Cajun dip in the Bloody Mary also.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be really good.
Oh. It's like a spicy ketchup, but we use it on all kinds of things. I mean, if you use it on shrimp, if you have a shrimp salad, use it as a salad dressing.
Yes, yes.
If you're doing an omelet, use it as a topping after you
That's a good idea, too.
It's also some of the recipes that we have. One of them uses all the products in it, and it's a meatloaf. So the barbecue sauce goes in the ground meat and the seasoning mixed in. And once it's cooked, the dipping sauce, or the Cajun dip, goes as the topping.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh, that sounds really good.
And so we have those recipes. And The no salt seasoning came in about 15 years ago, when we had someone many years ago that they kept saying their child couldn't use salt at all, even naturally in the foods. So we did our seasoning and just eliminated the salt out of the recipe, and she used that for years until she outgrew her condition. We had other people ask us about it, so we decided to put that on.
That's a lot of people have dietary restrictions.
It's the same recipe, it just has 0 salt.
Yeah. That's great. What's your favorite way to use the products? Like, what's your favorite dish to use them?
The barbecue sauce, of course, is on a
Backyard
backyard barbecue.
That's all we ever used.
Or on a hot dog. I do like it on a hot dog. I like to put the hot dogs in a closed dish and stick it in the microwave with the barbecue sauce on. Let it suck into the wieners.
Oh, yeah.
And then put some on the bread.
Yeah, we've done that.
The dipping sauce, the Cajun Dip, besides Bloody Marys, I think it would be probably on an omelet. I just love it on an omelet.
I love it with the shrimp. That's what I love. Like it's a shrimp cocktail. That's my
Hard to
favorite.
beat anything with shrimp. And of course, the seasoning, we use it on everything.
Right.
Some things I use a combination of the no salt and the regular, and some of them I just use the no salt or just the regular. But anything pork, I find it seems to want to get salty if you use too much of any seasoning. Actually, the salt takes over, and anything with a lot of cheese in it.
Oh, of course.
So it just depends on the product.
Yeah.
What you're doing with it and what you want. But
well, that's
yeah,
great.
I use it on there. I'm always experimenting with it.
Have you ever had a customer tell you something unusual that they've used it for, a different kind of recipe?
Every once in a while, somebody will come up with something way out left field. But I said, well, God bless you for it, for trying. If it works for you, some of them I wouldn't try. Years and years ago on KVPI, when we first started doing a little bit of advertisement, Mr. Clinto had his little...
Clinto Gocha, I remember Clinto,
he had his Saturday morning French program.
Yes.
And he would tell people, I didn't realize it at the time because it was all in French and I didn't catch that part. It's even good on ice cream. And I said, oh no, it can't be. It can't be.
Hey, look, today there's a lot of weird ice cream flavors, and it might go well. You never know. Yeah.
But it just that was a little far out for me. Hey, if they want to do that, that's fine.
Nowadays they have like a chili pepper ice cream, like all kinds of different things. I put the cocktail sauce in a little just to see how it tastes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might be something. What's the farthest you've ever shipped a product?
Probably on a regular basis would be Germany.
Wow.
We have a caterer who's from the Melville, I think it's Melville area. He went in the service. He was in Germany, married a lady from there, and he stayed there after he got out of the service, and he opened a catering business. And every so often he comes down here and he will pick some up, but most of the time we have to mail it to him. It's a long process and it's expensive for him, but we mail him like a couple of cases of the quart bottles or something like that, and he uses that in his catering.
Germany, wow.
And, but it costs him a lot, but then he can add that to the cost of what he's doing.
Right.
We've shipped to all kinds of countries, over the years. But I mean, every state we do an internet business that we have, and I package them, Christian ships them, and we've shipped to every state in the union.
That's amazing.
Alaska and Hawaii, we usually ship a little differently. Usually go through the post office instead of the like UPS.
Right. Yeah.
But we've shipped to other countries. Like I said, in Canada, and it just gets a little complicated with the shipping.
Right.
And expensive for the person.
Yes.
But when if we have regular customers like in Nebraska that we ship to.
That must be a good feeling to know that it's just
and
worldwide.
Most of them are using it in their business. It's not just for, they sell it also on the shelf, but it's, different food eateries that use it. And most of them have a connection to back in Louisiana.
That's very neat. That's very neat.
It is. We always proud of that when we ship somewhere far away.
And what would you say is the most challenging part of running the company?
Trying to get, in the last 2 years, trying to get the things that we need. Of course, we hear this on the news every day. Trying to get the products that we need to produce the product. We have 16 different products that we buy to produce the barbecue sauce. And we've been fortunate on that. We've had a couple of times we had to wait on things to come in. But the glass containers has been a big issue, and now it's the lids.
And for people who don't know, it's because of the pandemic.
Right.
Just everybody, it's hard to get materials
Production
down.
is down everywhere.
Right.
And depending on who you're buying from and what you're buying, but everybody has the same problem right now. And it just amazes me that that's happening, but it is. And we've run out of gallon containers for a while, to where we couldn't get them to our distributors, so the stores couldn't get them. And then also we sell to the institutional companies, so the restaurants and people that prepare food that buy it couldn't get it. They had to go to the quart containers. And then now it's the metal lids, one particular size that goes on the gallon jars. So we have the jars now. We don't have the lids. We used up all the lids we had, and we can't get any more.
Well,
at least for another couple of weeks from today, anyway.
Well, I'm glad that you're still producing anyway. And we're going to have to leave real quick. I wanted to ask you first, how many employees do you have at the factory?
We have 4 of us working in the plant, and then Sheila comes in and out the office. She kind of, she's like me. She's semi-retired, but she's less semi.
Yeah, I mean, it's to be totally retired. It's kind of boring. So you find something to do.
So like I said, I go in, but there's 4 of us, including me.
Okay. Well, now, really quickly, where can we buy your products?
Our product is sold. We sell to the wholesalers who get it to the grocery stores.
Okay.
So the Walmart stores in South Louisiana, some of them have it, most of them have it, but the Associated Grocery stores have it. They get it from their wholesaler. We have stores here in Ville Platte. One of them gets it from Baton Rouge. The other one gets it from Pearl River. 2 different distributors, And then
and you can order online.
Yes. If you're out of state, well, if you're in state too, but you'd be better off trying to find a store, because it doubles the cost of your product.
And what's the website?
Jack Miller at jackmillers.com.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Kermit. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just want to say thank our customers for buying all these years. We appreciate you. God bless you all.
And you know what, God bless y'all too, because y'all actually, I wanted to mention this earlier, but y'all do a lot of good for the community, so I know it's very appreciated.
Well, we try. We do what we can.
Y'all do, and I hope you can join us again. Maybe we can get Christian to come next time, or Miss Sheila. Okay. Kermit Miller with Jack Miller's Food Products, and of course, American Inn Incorporated, the umbrella company. Thank you so much for being here and for your delicious sauces. So we all love those. Believe me, that's the only thing we ever used growing up.
Thank you.
You're watching Evangeline Mornings on UGN's Louisiana Television.